So today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and feeling like an imposter as a doc student and in a doctoral process. And writing your dissertation, like graduating, will not make imposter syndrome go away. As long as you are walking around feeling like you are not enough, as long as you cannot recognize your brilliance and what you bring to the table, you will continue to feel like an imposter. If that sounds of interest, keep on watching. As y'all come in, say, hey, let me know. What is it like to be you on this Thursday? You can give me a word, you can give me an emoji, but how are you doing today? Y'all, I'm hyped, okay? But before I get off, let me make sure that I put my comment, because I always forget, and then I'll be sitting here like, why y'all don't know? Okay, if anything that I say today resonates with you, feel free to put right in the comments, and then you're going to get the link to join us for tonight's call. So tonight, inside of the Finish Your Dissertation Institute, we are going to be talking about what imposter syndrome looks like in the writing process. Here's the thing. I think about imposter syndrome as thoughts of, I don't belong. They're going to find out that I'm not supposed to be here. They're going to find out that I don't know what I'm actually doing. They're going to find out that somehow I tricked somebody into letting me pass all these classes, and now I'm here. And you might be thinking, well, as long as I can make it to the end of this program without anybody catching on to the fact that I'm not supposed to be here, then I'll be good, I'll be safe. And when I'm doctor, when I have the letters, when I have the title, then I'm not going to have any problem with people saying that I know what I'm doing. And let me tell you, imposter syndrome is never going away. Okay, I need you to understand that. I need you to be okay. Imposter syndrome has a very clear job to do, and it ain't got nothing to do with how many degrees you get or what title people are referring you to. And something I say, or I think about a lot rather, is focus on building confidence and not motivation. Because most of you might be thinking, like, if I can get motivated, then I'll write the dissertation, I'll put the words on the page, and people will see that I do know a lot. And when they see it, I'll graduate and I won't feel like an imposter. No. Okay, but before I go off, I don't see how y'all doing. Ain't nobody telling me how they doing. I don't got a word. I don't got an emoji. Hello? Y'all want me to just talk at you? This is a two-way street. How are you doing? Tell your friends to pull up, too. You might want to tag a friend to make sure they hear this conversation. Okay, the reason why I say build confidence and not motivation, and I am looking for your okay, ready to graduate. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Is confidence in my brain, how I define it, is I know I could do this thing because I did it before. Motivation is I have such unbelievable belief that I can do the thing. Now, you might be like, yeah, I should believe it before I can do it. But what if I told you that you don't have to believe that it's possible for you to finish a dissertation, or you don't have to believe it's possible for you to graduate in order for you to show up and put words on a page? I need you to sit with that for a minute. What if you don't have to feel motivated to put words on a page? What if you don't have to feel like writing for words to go on that page? What if you don't have to feel like you know enough to show up and still put words on a page? Some of you want to see where this is going. But the issue, before we even get into imposter syndrome, this is on my heart. Something you need to realize is that you don't have to feel like doing anything to take action. Most of the time, I don't feel like getting out of my bed every morning, but yet I get out of my bed and I do the stuff. You don't have to feel like it in order to write. What if you just have to show up and write? The reason why I talk so much about a shitty paragraph is because most of you just need to show up and put words on the page. And stop thinking about how you feel. The question on the table is, do you want to be doctor or do you want to feel good? And I'm not saying that's the choice all the time, but right now when we're doing something that's really hard and it's really as tedious as writing a dissertation, sometimes you got to have real talk with yourself. Sometimes you got to sit yourself down and say, hey, it don't matter what you feel like. It don't matter if you think you got what it takes. What matters is, are you willing to still sit down and put words on a page? And that's the question I have for you. Some of you, and let me know, since whoever is here, let me know, what is the month and the year that you plan on graduating? What is the month and the year? Put it in the chat. Let me know. When do you plan on graduating? Most of you will give me some answer that you like, oh, that's the realistic answer. If I give myself enough time, then I will do it by, December 2025, or I don't know what this voice is, y'all, go with me, but that's what y'all be saying. That's what y'all sound like. And then when I say what I like said to Chris, and I'm about to say it to Chris now, Chris, what if you get done in May 2025? Like, what would that mean for you? What do you think has to happen in order to move that timeline from December 2025 to May 2025? Deja, you too. What would it look like to move your timeline? And I don't know your circumstances, so you have to tell me. What would it look like to move your timeline from May 2026 to December 2025? What do you think is required? And Eva, I'm just going to assume that you just started your program as to why that says 2029, or maybe you're like in a history department or something, but you let me know. Like, what is, for everybody, thank y'all so much for putting your numbers in here. What would it look like? What do you think you would have to do? What do you think is required for you to move that number up 6 months? Meaning, if you're saying, I want to graduate December 2025, what would it look like to say summer of 2025? What do you think is required? I submit my dissertation September 2025. I graduate June 2026. So you have to do like a practicum or like an internship, Julian. So Chris said, words on the page, intentionality, planning it out. Right, Chris, you're about to be on the beach come January. Okay, you're going to be on somebody's beach with a cigar, maybe in a good drink, and you're going to be typing away. What's going to stop you from graduating in May instead of December? Why are we trying to be like so quote unquote realistic, because y'all love to give me that word? Why? What's happening? Snatching edges in the middle of this workday. Listen, but you see what you just did there? You moved it to December. I had to, right? Because it's August. And let me tell you what happens in the fall semester. August and September, everybody come out the gate. They real strong. They like, yep, I'm going to do it. This going to be my year. I'm going to be doctor. And then as we like mosey on down to October and November, then you like, oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, this football game is coming on. Oh, the kids got sick. Now the whole house is sick. Oh, I want to go on this trip. You know what? The year's almost over with anyway. We're about to go into the holidays. I'm just going to take a break, and I'll pick it back up in January. And then January comes and you can't get yourself going. So you really don't even start trying to write until spring break. But then spring break, you're like, the school year is almost over with anyway. So I might as well wait till the summer. And you keep doing that. That is why you are giving yourself a realistic timeline, is because you don't trust yourself to show up and put words on a page. And to be real, it's because you keep trying to do it by yourself. You keep thinking like, it can't be that hard. I got my chair. I don't need to invest in any other support because all I need to do is stop being lazy and get up and put words on a page. But the question is, why haven't you? If it was just as simple as, I just need to get myself together and I need to stop being lazy and I need to put words on a page, then why are you not doing that? What is stopping you? It's most likely if I was showing up with you every day, not even every day, even a few times a week, and I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Wouldn't you get further, faster? Wouldn't you be a whole doctor? So my question to you is, why don't you want that support? But we're going to come back to that. Motivation is, I believe I could do it, and then I do it. Confidence is, I know I can do it because I did it. I want you to focus on building confidence. What I mean by that is take bare minimum action to show yourself that I can do some things. And as you show yourself, oh, I did these things over here, maybe I can add to it. Then you look up and your dissertation is done in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. A lot of you, if you've been following me for a while, you hear me talk about write a shitty paragraph a day. And most of you will say, well, Dr. Lacey, I get it. I get your whole idea about a shitty paragraph, but you don't understand me. You don't understand my project. You don't understand my chair. My chair is not going to accept shitty paragraphs. And I'm like, maybe you were not listening, because I can tell you to turn in a shitty paragraph to your chair. I told you that your instructions is every day you show up and you write a shitty paragraph. Why? Because it's a bare minimum action. To write a shitty paragraph means you grab a piece of paper, you open up a document, and you say, what are 4 sentences that I can put on this page? Whether they have anything to do with my dissertation or not, what are 4 sentences that I could write today? And then you do that, you leave it alone, you come back tomorrow, you repeat, and you keep doing that. And you know what's going to happen after about a week? About a week, you're going to be like, now I just showed up for 7 days straight doing this little shitty paragraph that's mostly lyrics, because if it was me, it would be Beyonce lyrics. And after a week, you're like, what if I tried this for real, tried it with my dissertation? And so let's say you're working on your literature review. You're like, let me try this shitty paragraph approach. So you show up for another 7 days and you're like, okay, Black women in higher education, they hate it. They've been doing the things. It's great. You have a shitty paragraph. Now we got 2 weeks of shitty paragraphs and your brain is like, do you know that you wrote about 2 pages for the literature review? Yeah, it's shitty. And yeah, we got to spend some time like wordsmithing and changing some things around, but we got 2 pages. Pause. How many of you with 2 pages make the world of difference right now in your writing process? Whether you are with me live or you watching a recording, how much with 2 pages that you wrote in less than probably an hour that week, because we're just showing up writing shitty paragraphs, what difference would that make? You know what that's going to make to your nervous system? Your nervous system going to say, well, if we showed up and we just put some shit on the page and it ended up being 2 pages that I actually can like low-key use and I just need to move some things around, what would happen if we tried to do 2 shitty paragraphs a day? And so then you go back and you start doing 2 shitty paragraphs a day. Now you start writing and you're like, now I got 4 pages. I got 4 pages in this week. Now I'm going to combine these 4 pages with the 2 pages I did last week. Now we got like half a chapter. And I hadn't even really been working that hard. So then your nervous system is like, well, if you spend 10 minutes doing 2 shitty paragraphs, how about you do 3 shitty paragraphs? And so on and so forth. It's making me think about Camille, who I've posted her videos several times on this profile. It's because right now in her stories, she is working. She is like building out her IRB. She's like finalizing in preparation for the proposal. And people see her working like 4 or 5 hours a day, but they're like, I thought Dr. Lacey said 10 hours. It's 10 hours to start, friend, because you need to build up your confidence. You need to build up momentum. You need to communicate to your nervous system that, no, I do have something to say. I do know a lot of information. I just need a process to put words on the page. The shitty paragraph helps you to work with your nervous system so that you can show up and take a little bare minimum action. You're like, okay, I could do a little shitty paragraph. And then that starts to build. And then when you look up, a whole month has gone by and you have a whole chapter. Because you allowed yourself to start from the beginning. You allowed yourself to take bare minimum action. And you allowed yourself to trust the process. And the more that you show up and you got pages to show for it, the more your confidence level grows. The more your confidence grows, you're like, oh, this dissertation is a wrap. So if y'all remember, a couple of months ago, I told Chris that you're going to finish. Are you still here, Chris? You're going to finish your proposal in a month. Now, it wasn't that I was setting this goal and I was like, Chris, you better finish or else. It's because I knew that Chris needed a push. Chris needed more of a goal to focus on of like, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm doing my shitty paragraphs and it's going to lead me and I'm going to trust that it's going to lead to an entire proposal. Right? Chris showed up more than he would have had I not been like, you know, you don't have to do it. You can take your time. Chris was like, I'm going to do it in December. I'm going to do it by December. But now Chris has made so much more progress because there was a push, plus there was a process that said, just take these little small steps and trust that these small steps are going to build. Now Chris, the whole committee is excited, okay? We're real excited about this project. Chris is very clear about, okay, this is what I need to do. And all that's left is like, because life is still life, man. I honestly believe that if Chris had like 3 uninterrupted days where he could just like write, a whole proposal would be done because most of it is done. Okay, let me go back to my notes, y'all. I talk a lot about bare minimum and people don't like that language. Do you like the language of bare minimum? Let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you like. I like it. Put a 2 if you like, girl, go somewhere else with this bare minimum conversation. We have shirts, and I wish I had mine on right now, but it's like bare minimum baddie. The reason why we do the bare minimum is because I believe it, and I don't even have to talk to you directly, but because I've been doing this for so long, and I work with so many of y'all, I know in my bones, 10 toes down, your 10% is everybody else's 90%. Let me say it again for the people who are multitasking at work. Make your money. Your 10% is worth everyone's 90%. Now, someone asked me, how you know that though? You say that to everybody. I don't say that to everybody. How I know that is because you made it to a doc program. You made it all the way to a doctoral program. How many people like you who look like you, who come from where you come from. How many of them made it to a doctoral program? I'll wait. You do your math. How many people, depending on, and I don't know everybody on this call, but how many people made it to a doctoral program that you know? How many of the people you went to high school with? How many people did you grow up with? You used to go to the park with? How many of them made it to a doctoral program? How many people who started the doctoral program made it to the prelims or the comps or whatever language y'all use to that exam process? How many people did you start with made it there? How many people made it from the exams to the proposal? I need you to start scanning your memory. How many people made it? On average, because I put this post up and you can go back to the bio and look at it. On average, the estimates say like 50% of students don't make it to the dissertation. But we know folks who look like us, who come from where they come, we can go ahead and add an extra 15 to 20% on that. So that means, if I'm being conservative, 60% of people make it. But if I'm being what I know in terms of data and how it's collected, people who look like me, when I think about where I come from, the west side of Chicago, looking at me as a black woman, listen, out of 10 black women who start, only about 2 or 3 of us are making it to the end. I need you to let that sink in. Only 2 or 3 out of 10 is going to make it to the end. This is how I know that you don't make it this far if your 10% is not everybody else's 90%. Because I know, because you live in this same society like I do, that you heard like in order to get half of what they got, you got to work you got to work twice as hard. Have you heard that? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard like, in order to get half, I got to work twice as hard. Please put a 1 in the chat if that is, you ever heard that growing up. You think about that from time to time. It makes me think about that Scandal episode when Papa Pope was outside that plane being like, Olivia, what did I tell you? You have to work twice as hard to get half. Right? And my favorite part though, because the shadiest part of all of that is when he was like, First Lady. You settled for First Lady? And that hurt my soul. Like, ooh, I was hurting for her. Like, girl, he just read you. You don't think that that is influencing your mind? Have you ever, now I'm about to go off script and we here. Have you ever thought about why that's useful for the system for you to believe that you have to work twice as hard to get half? When you think about it from a systemic oppression point of view, you ever thought about why that is useful? Why someone would benefit from that narrative to continue? Because if you are like me and you heard it growing up, you probably heard it from the point of view of, in order to make it in these spaces that was not created for us, if you work twice as hard, then they can't deny you. But what I want you to consider is, what if people who have the most power and privilege in this society, they need you to believe that. They need you to believe that you have to work twice as hard to get half. Why? Because the people who have the most power and privilege, what they know about how the world works is, if you want to make money, if you want to excel in your career, then you have to be comfortable with using your brain. That you have to stop being a person who does and become a person who thinks. But if you are like, no, I only get value, I'm only deserving of good things if I work twice as hard, then you will spend your life working twice as hard, making the money, creating the systems, and building up whatever the program for the person who gets paid to think. Think about how structures are at work in corporate. One of my biggest complaints used to be, as somebody who was new into higher education, like, those people get paid all that money and they don't even do nothing. They don't even work. They don't work like I do. Think about that. Have you ever said that? They don't even work like I do. All they do is sit in their office and make stupid decisions because they get paid to think. But here you are, you're about to be a whole expert. You're already an expert, right? You're about to have a whole terminal degree that only 3% of the world has. And you're still going to be a whole doctor thinking that the only way that you are deserving of recognition, of payment, of anything good is if you work for it. Which is why it's hard for people when I say, what if you don't have to work that hard to be a doctor? Because they're like, what do you mean? Like, I only do exceptional work. And it's like, yeah, You can keep letting this institution of higher education tell you that your worth is only defined to your labor. You can keep being a cog in a machine and let them control you, or you can recognize they're teaching you how to think. When you go get a PhD or an EDD, they're teaching you how to think. But they need to maintain that you think that you're supposed to work twice as hard to get half, because if you really understood the power of your brain, you know that you could change the whole system. You can burn the shit down if you wanted to. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that this is not about politics or whatnot. I'm just telling you the power that you have access to that you may not realize. The power and privilege that comes along with these letters and this degree, you may not be thinking about it from that point of view. You may be so focused on trying to prove that you are enough, which is what I think imposter syndrome is, that you haven't stepped out enough to be like, wait a minute. They taught me how to think. They taught me their system. If I match that with my work ethic, how much more powerful could I be? How much more change could I bring? Because most of you want to change the world. And I know a lot of people don't like this conversation, and it is what it is. But I just want you to think about, like, you do not have to work twice as hard. Writing a dissertation is not about who works the hardest. It is not about who knows the most. It is not about who's willing to put in the hours. Those are lies. Because I'm sure if I was to ask you to name at least one person from your program who graduated, and you know they don't need to be nobody's doctor, I bet you all can give me a name. That is more than enough proof. This is not about who's smart and who works the most. It is about who is willing, who's bold enough, who's confident enough to be like, here's my opinion. This is why it's my opinion, and I'm willing to stand 10 toes down on it. If you can think about it from that frame, then when you show up to write your dissertation, you don't have to spend hours being like, that sentence sounds stupid. My chair is not going to like it. I didn't get all the citations right. What are they going to say? They're going to kick me out. You wouldn't even be thinking about none of that. Instead, you'll be like, they're going to get this shitty paragraph. The worst they're going to tell me is they don't like it and they want me to redo it. Sounds good. But what if the best case scenario is they're like, it's real good. You know, maybe you just run it through Grammarly or something and we're good to go. But because you don't think that you are enough, you hold yourself back. You keep hoarding your writing. You keep being like, no, I need to look at it one more time. No, I need to go get my mentor to look at it. I need to go read some more books. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Billy over here just put something on the page that he got from ChatGPT and turned it into his chair. And his chair was like, oh, maybe go look at this in ChatGPT. And now Billy's a whole doctor and you're still trying to figure out how to write your literature review. This is not about who knows the most. It is about who is willing to show up, regardless how they feel, to put words on a page, let somebody give them some feedback, address the feedback, and keep going through that process until they say, okay, you're ready to defend it. You don't have to be confident. You don't. You just got to be willing to show up and put the words on a page and see what happens. If you like how I talk to you now, then you definitely should come to tonight's call. I'm not going to sell you nothing. I just want you to see what it's like to be in a group. I want you to feel in your body, is this a group that you think will help you get into action, put words on the page so you can be done with this process? Because y'all love to tell me, oh, Dr. Lacey, I just need to travel. I just need to get on with my life. I just want to get this dissertation off my back. And I'm like, okay, well, go write the shitty paragraph. No, I can't do that. I'm like, do you want to be done? Or what? Do you want to? Okay, so let me know. How are we feeling? Let me know a reaction. Either give me a word or an emoji in this chat. How are we feeling for those of you who are still here? How are you? I know I'm being a little bit ridiculous, but I want to know, how are you? I'm feeling good, though. You know, I went to the gym. I did an hour walk because I decided to sign up for the Disney half marathon. Who over here walking miles? Not me, but you know what? I got until February, and I'm just willing to do the bare minimum and I trust that if I keep doing the bare minimum, then by February I'm gonna be prepared. And so what the bare minimum looks like for me these days is I just go on the treadmill and I get to walk as slow as I want to, as long as I do anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. Eventually my stamina will build up and then I'll just start speeding up. And eventually in February, I'll be good to go for this half marathon. I'm just telling y'all, like, this is my approach to everything. I do this. I've been doing this for 7 years now. It's because I just see so many people in doc programs, and it's like, it's robbing you of your life, of your vitality. Like, you used to be so confident. You probably wasn't confident about anything else, but when it came to school, you were confident that, like, of course I know what I'm doing. Of course I'll be able to figure it out. And then you found yourself in a doc program, and you like, has everything been a lie? Has my whole life been a lie? Like, when I think about me, my first semester, I found myself on academic probation. I was so confused. I was like, I've never struggled with grades. I've never been at risk of being on somebody's academic probation. Now, I've been at risk of going to somebody's night school because I cussed out a teacher or two. Okay, I'm from the west side of Chicago. Listen, it is what it is. But I have never struggled. And so to get there and be like, what the hell is happening? It made me question, like, do I know as much as I think I do? But that experience taught me, oh, this is not about who knows what. Because how I got here, the reason why faculty won't talk to me is because I'm not playing the game. I'm not treating them like, I don't know, all important and that they are all knowing. As a little kid, my whole life, I don't see hierarchy in the same way that other people do. Like, I understand that there are rules and there are people in power and positions or whatever, but I don't treat you different just because you got a title. And that has gotten me in trouble. And I didn't realize how much that was going to get me in some hot water in a doc program. Because right before I got on academic probation, I had the director of the program said, I think we made a mistake letting you in because I'm talking, the other white man over here is talking, and you're just down, you're writing notes on your paper. Had I had the language I have now, I would have been like, yes, it's called autism and ADHD. I need to focus on something else in order to hear you talk. Otherwise, I'm going to be lost. But I didn't have that language then. But what it taught me is like, oh, this isn't about what I know, because he's not talking about that I don't know enough. He's talking about I'm not playing the game. Most of you are conflating. You're like me. You're conflating when people give you feedback and saying you're not showing up a certain way. Or let's use a writing example. Your writing is unclear. You think that they mean that you don't know enough. You think, oh, I'm supposed to go read more. That's what they're saying. No, they're saying you're not playing the game. So if you were going to play the game in the dissertation process, what that would look like is you write your shitty paragraphs, you follow the scholar editing routine, and then you turn it into your chair. And then your chair is going to say, I like this part is unclear, I'm not sure what you mean here. And you say, okay. You look at their feedback, and when you see something that says this is unclear, you do not go read, you go to edit. You say, how do I make my writing more clear? So like if a 5-year-old was reading it, they would be able to understand it. Because that is what your chair is telling you, by the way. And then you keep the part that they said was good, and the part they said they don't agree with it. Okay, whatever. I don't care if you agree. Are you okay with it so that we can go on to this defense? You ain't got to agree with nothing. Is it good or not? But when you think that you're not enough, when you think you have to prove yourself constantly, you'll take that feedback to mean that your whole draft wasn't good enough and that you must go read more because obviously your chair knows more than you do, which they don't. And if they don't agree with it, then you think that you have to change your whole topic when really you get to just be okay that they don't agree with it. Let me know if you have any questions or anything. Tonight, what we're going to do is I'm going to be talking about some common scenarios where imposter syndrome comes up. And I'm going to tell you why it's a hard situation, why you feel like an imposter, and then what you can do, like how you can talk to yourself to get yourself out of stuck mode, to get yourself out of being overwhelmed, and to take action. That's what we're going to do for an hour. I'm not about to make you sit through no sales process. I'm not about to sit up here and like try to get you to, because I know that my work speaks for me. I know that this program will help you. I've helped over 100 people be a doctor. So this is not about me convincing you. I feel no need to convince you. I want you to see for yourself the type of support and community that you're missing out on. I know that in the 3 months, you would be listen, you're going to have a whole proposal and you have defended it and be ready to do like data collection. I know that. But it's about, are you willing to show up? Are you willing to do the bare minimum? Because those people who try to come in and they try to impress me and they try to be like, Dr. Lacey, I know you said 10 hours, but I'm going to do 10 hours a day. I'm like, okay, well, in a week when you burnt out, then we'll have our real conversation. Because what I'm trying to teach you, two things. I'm trying to teach you how you can write every day without it taking over your entire day, but also how you can walk into rooms with your head held high knowing that you are the shit. Okay, I cuss. And I know y'all, some of y'all at work, so I'm going to keep it cute. But I want you to have such unbelievable confidence. Nobody going to be able to tell you nothing. The way I walked into my final defense, I was like, listen, committee, you signed that piece of paper. Now I'm willing to sit here as long as you want me to and answer whatever questions you want me to answer. But I'm not leaving until that piece of paper is signed. Why? Because I know that I killed this. I already know that this is already good. I just need you to sign a piece of paper. I want you to feel that same way when you walk into your proposal defense, when you walk into your final defense, whenever you go meet with your chair. I want you to have such confidence that whenever you see an email from your chair, you open it immediately because you trust yourself to know how to respond to it. No need to avoid them. I want you to have the level of certainty that you absolutely talk to your chair on purpose every week and tell them, hey, this is what I'm doing. These are the questions I have. This is what I need you to do. That's what we are helping you to do inside of to finish your dissertation. I am not just your regular average coach who's over here like, okay, give me drafts and I'm gonna give you feedback, because if that's all you needed, then yeah, stick with your chair. What I am helping you to do is to learn how to, number one, manage this entire process, knowing what needs to get done, how it needs to get done, and what order it needs to get done. Number two, I am helping you to go to your chair and say, this is what I need you to do for me, chair. And to fully expect that they're going to show up and to know what to do if they try to ghost you, they don't answer your emails, if they try to give you the runaround, we're going to figure all that out. The third thing that we teach you how to do is how to rewrite and edit like a scholar. You most likely are like using those same habits that you had as an undergrad student or even a high school student, thinking that's going to cut it in a dissertation. It is not. You are no longer an undergrad student. You are a whole ass doctor. You need to show up as a doctor. You need to rewrite and edit like a doctor, because for most of you, your dissertation is not going to be the only thing that you write. Whether you're going to be faculty, you're going to be publishing manuscripts, or you're going to be publishing your own books, you need to learn how to rewrite and edit like a scholar. That's what we teach you. And the last part, what we teach you is how to believe, how to move through this world as a doctor. So whether people are calling you a doctor or not, they feel the energy. They feel the energy that they will happily call you doctor, that they will listen when you speak. I absolutely will save this live. That is what we teach you inside the Finish Your Dissertation program. I want you to type right so that you can see this for yourself. Tonight, what we're going to be going over is overcoming imposter syndrome in a writing process. We're going to spend an hour talking about that. And then optionally, there is a co-writing call. Sir is okay if you hear him, but there's a co-writing call that happens immediately afterwards. And you can stay there or not, but most of the time what happens is people get they get amped and then they're like, okay, I'm ready to write. And so then we have a co-writing call after that. You can keep trying to do this process by yourself, or you can get the support. Imposter syndrome comes down to this belief that you are not enough. And that's why I often say, you know enough, you have enough, you are enough. I want to remind you who you are and where you come from. Because you got into these programs and you let these people tell you a story and sell you a version of yourself that you are not. You just temporarily forgot who you were for a minute. Let us help you. Let us help you remind you. You just temporarily thought that, oh, maybe I don't know as much as I thought. Maybe I'm not capable. And so now they got you hiding from your family and friends because your family and friends keep asking you when you're going to graduate, but you don't have a number, and you feel really insecure about telling them, like, I don't know, I'm still writing. And they're like, oh, and so now you just feel alone, you feel isolated. How are you supposed to do something like a dissertation when you're feeling like that all the time? How are you supposed to believe that, oh, I can be a doctor, and think about what comes after you finish this program when you are constantly inundated with feelings of, I suck, I'm not smart enough, I don't know enough, I don't have the right support, I'm going too slow, I'm never gonna, like, when that is constantly your talk, you're not gonna have the energy, the emotional energy rather, to show up and put words on a page. I want you to witness this yourself. Okay. I don't want to keep yelling at y'all, so if there are no questions, I hope this helped somewhat. I hope this gave you a boost for your midday, but if anything here resonated, please put right in the chat, and I want to see you tonight. If you have questions, let me know. We can keep talking in the DMs, but I hope to see you tonight. All right, y'all. See y'all later. Bye, y'all.